Hello everyone, I am the host of Real Talk with Karia Christopher. Our conversations will be intent, focused, inspiring, and yes, eye-opening. Join us as we bring to you Real Talk 2020. Sit back and relax as we get ready for a new episode of Real Talk with Karia Christopher right now, proudly powered by Flow. Hello BVI and welcome to Real Talk with Karia Christopher here in the Karia Christopher studios. British Virgin Islands, I appreciate you, and of course those that are within the sound of my voice and my face, I appreciate you. So this season of Real Talk with Karia Christopher 2020, I said on an interview that I was doing that I'll have homage to men, but I'll have some very intelligent women there as well. So it brings me great pleasure to have my two first females on my show. It's going to be great. These are young BV Islanders / belongers / people who live here. We'll get into that conversation, who have really made a name for themselves as far as I'm concerned. They will speak to us about their journey in terms of how they got to where they are now, and really being a sense of positivity to women all over the world. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you. I'm going to butcher her name, and let me apologize to her husband, Mr. Frank, in advance. Mrs. Siobhan Hodge Frank. Siobhan, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Did I get it right? Did I get it?
You got it perfect.
Frank, don't come tell me nothing now. And of course, beautiful Miss Maria Victoria Glasgow Smith.
You got it.
Listen, y'all, it can't come from me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to have these lovely ladies here. You're going to be amazed to hear where they are coming from. You're going to be just dazzled to hear their stories and the type of conversation we intend to have. I'm going to start with Siobhan. Siobhan, I call you a BV Islander. I don't know how you feel about that because I think you were born in St. Thomas or someplace, but your BV Islander roots. How would you like persons to categorize you, for lack of a better word, in terms of this show?
Well, yes, I'm a BV Islander, belonger, because my both parents were born here. But in terms of the show, I would like people to think that I'm a professional, young, intelligent, focused, family-oriented young lady, and I bring positive energy at all times.
I love that. So Maria, I know you in a lot of different spaces now as a Rotarian, working with EY, the consumer professional. So when I called Maria, ladies and gentlemen, I know how to be Maria. I said, okay, Maria, you are BV Islander. She said, no, I'm not. And we're going to talk about the conversations about that. But I thought that Maria would bring an interesting perspective on her journey. She is very proud of her Latina roots. She's a beautiful young lady. I think that she's given probably the biggest transformation in terms of the space of what the perception of Latina women are in the BVI. And so she's going to talk to us about her journey and how she would love for women of her heritage line to be perceived and be respected in the BVI. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, Karia. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm going to start with you in that aspect. Talk to me about your journey. I call you a Tolian, a BV Islander, but I want to hear your journey in terms of how do you categorize Maria? In terms of we came here, you were born here, how do you feel that we should have you in what box, if that's the right thing to say?
Oh no, you cannot put me in a box.
There
just isn't a box big enough. But I was born in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
I believe that I have a very diverse background. I migrated here at the age of 4 with my parents and my 2 siblings at the time. I attended the Ines Adams Primary School, and I graduated in 2000 from the then British Virgin Islands High School, and we're actually celebrating 20 years this year.
I see so, yes.
Cannot believe that it has already been 20 years. Upon completion of my secondary education, I entered the work world, and I took up employment at Harney Westwood and Regals
I didn't know that.
as a floating legal secretary. That meant that I was not assigned to just one department or one lawyer. It meant that I had to assist whoever needed assistance at the time. I worked for about 6 months before I made the bold move to relocate to Jacksonville, Florida. By the age of 18, I was already married with my first son. While in Florida, I looked for ways to seek some independence outside my marriage. So I worked at a credit rights law firm, Fahie and Ricky PA, as an asset analyst first, and then I was quickly promoted to recovery agent. I also translated depositions, so I liked that part of the job because in my home, I was the only one that spoke Spanish. So at work, I got to speak Spanish to defendants while I translated. So I really enjoyed that. I also was able to pursue my undergraduate studies in business administration and actually graduated right before moving back to the BVI in 2009. So I lived and worked in Florida for a total of 8 years and then came back.
That long?
Yes, that long. Then came back to the BVI in 2009. Upon my return home, of course, that meant getting a pay cut. I don't know. My entire life took a 360. I went from being a homeowner to living with my then mother-in-law and then renting an apartment. I took up employment with Morel and Company. I was doing business as Tico.
Right,
I was the purchasing administrator and the assistant to the general manager. I knew that that was not what I wanted to do all my life. I knew that that was just an income that was needed at the time. And 2 years after being back in the BVI, I separated from my husband and ended up becoming a single mother of 2 boys. And everything happened at the right time. I saw this newspaper article for an executive assistant at Ernst & Young, now EY, because we rebranded. And I remember they posted the starting salary of $50,000 a year. I was like, oh, I need to land that job. So that was one of my biggest accomplishments because I actually was told that I was chosen over 30 candidates.
So they gave you a big morale boost.
Correct.
Okay.
And of course, the sign-on bonus and everything else that came with it was...
Ladies, she's telling y'all right now, she didn't come to play.
Yes.
So you have had a journey. That's basically what you're saying. I want you to hold some of your thoughts because we're going to do a little comparison, for lack of a better word. So Siobhan, you talked about you had BVI parents. Most people know that many people who are comfortable in the BVI had to, they got their children overseas for more benefits, not for lack of anything except for later on, we want to make sure Siobhan can go to school in the US, etc., etc. Do you think it's a fair statement to say, in comparison to a person like Maria, with her journey, migrating here to the BVI, having to married at 18, I didn't even know that. Married at 18, a very full life with something to prove. Do you think that in comparison to a journey like hers, you were given an easy life based on where you are now?
No, I wouldn't say that I was given an easy life. I mean, the only difference is that she was dealt with a different set of cards versus myself. I mean, she did the whole moving away at a very early age, getting married at an early age. I did marriage at a later age, got kids before marriage. So it was more, to me, I just think that it's different levels of our lives.
So talk to me about the journey. When I saw you and I said, okay, Siobhan, you will be perfect. You're young, you're in your 30s, you're managing the family business, you have your head on, a lot of pressure. And you're juggling family life and business and trying to be the consummate professional in everything. The reason that the both of you are here is to give a different perspective on the journeys of young women in particular and trying to make it and make your own brand, define yourself. So what defines you? What is your most challenging aspect of juggling your life now? And what advice, if you do have any, for persons who are in your space now, trying to figure out what's the next step?
Okay, so just to give a little history.
Sure.
I graduated from Enos Adams in '94, graduated from then BVI High School in 1999. And I attended HLSCC for 2 years. And then I left to go to Morgan State University in 2001. graduated in 2004 with my bachelor's in finance. Came back home, worked at the FSC for a little bit. Then I left and went to a trust company. And then another opportunity came to work as HR. And in between of the transition between the trust company and HR, I received my master's in business administration. And I had a little girl. So, young professional with a daughter, fine. Did about 2 more years. In 2015, I got my son. So I have 2 kids, single mother, 2 kids functioning. Then the opportunity came where I had to make a decision in terms of what was my next step. And my mother presented me with the opportunity to run the family businesses. And of course, we all know that that's a struggle. It has its struggles in between, you know, the young mind, old ways of a customer getting things done.
Yeah.
So you have to try to transition that into showing mom what should be the way forward to get us where we want to be. In terms of what was your question again? In terms of
The comparison, because you had that big support at home.
Right.
In terms of the family,
Right.
you were, I don't want to say gifted a family business.
Right.
Because that's not the accurate perception.
Right.
But you do now have a already established set of businesses that you have to run.
Right.
Versus someone who would be in Maria's shoes,
Who walk her way up.
walk her way straight up to where she is
Right.
now. Talking about that bonus and all of that stuff. We're going to get to that just now.
Yeah, I got a bonus. But yes, in terms of, in all honesty, you look, and I'm still proud of individuals who walk the trenches. Because I know, even though people might say, oh, you landed something in your lap, in all honesty, it's hard work. It's where you don't get to sign out of work at 5 o'clock. I don't get to do that. I don't get to go on the family vacations like how people will get to go. Like, you know, you apply for leave off.
Right,
My
of
mother
course.
will tell me I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
If you're honest, because I can't leave at this point in time.
Yeah.
So in all honesty, I wouldn't say that I work harder than her or she works harder than me, in all honesty, because we both have 2 different sets of cards playing. And it's fair to say that Maria is doing an awesome job. She's now the Rotarian president, Madam President. And I think to her shoes and my shoes is 2 different shoes.
Okay.
Yes. But I think that working for yourself, so to speak, is a very difficult path. And people who want to even go down that path, I would never discourage them. Because guess what? At the end of the day, you can say that I have helped do this much so far for the community, and you will be able to say, stand proud to say that this has been your contribution.
Right.
Yeah.
I get you. So I don't want to get into the comparison of Maria to Siobhan.
Right.
It's the situation to the situation.
Right.
Bigger picture. So I want to jump right on to Maria, because not the easy part done.
Yeah.
You get the history of what transpired to get you both on these blue chairs, my
Right.
signature little chairs.
All right.
When I called you Maria, and I say it on every show, I take my guests very seriously. I don't want to have anyone. It has to be a story. It has to have somebody who I feel conduct themselves very well to represent my brand, for lack of a better word.
Right.
One of the reasons I gravitated towards you, especially because I kind of knew a little bit about your journey. I know that you continue to work hard to demystify whatever myths that are out there about Maria Smith and the broader picture of Latina women in the BVI. I told her audience I was going to ask her this question, so this is not a surprise. I have a problem. Tell your Spanish friends, do not come for me. I'm saying it in the best of lights. I personally cannot understand where I see people like you, your cousins, your sisters, your friends, who I know to have lived here all of their lives, who I consider BVI landlords. Maybe it's in ignorance that I use the word BVI landlords, but when I see people who were coming from 4 years old to nearly 40, you belong here. But where I have the issue is every single time I see an opportunity to have national pride, specifically in the Latina family, that heritage. You see Latina and proud. Proud Latina. I don't see anything about a BV Islander, Tola, whatever you want to call it. So I want you to explain to me, what is that? Why can't you, or your group, and I don't say it in a negative way, I promise, I hope I'm not offensive. I literally want to be able to understand. What prevents you from identifying with the British Virgin Islands, where your home is for the last 30-something years? I suspect you know more about the BVI than you know about the Dominican Republic.
I do.
Talk to me about what that is. What is that I can't understand without me trying to be offensive to the Latina brand?
No, you're good. The thing is, Karia, that in the BVI, we are too Spanish to be BVI Islanders. And as crazy as this sounds, to the Latin community, we are too English to be Latin. But my mom and dad are both from the Dominican Republic, so we grew up with that background, we grew up with that culture instilled in us. So yes, I am extremely proud to be Spanish, to be of Latin, regardless to whatever negativity there is out there. I don't think there is such thing as a proud belonger.
But why can't you be? And that is my point.
I'm not a BVI Islander, and I said,
explain to me
yes,
why.
I'm not a BVI Islander, and anyone out there can agree with me. They're probably smiling when they heard me say that. I'm not a BVI Islander. My BVI passport has place of birth Dominican Republic. My UK passport has place of birth Dominican Republic, and my US green card has place of birth Dominican Republic. So I cannot get rid of the Santo Domingo,
I
the
don't want
Spanish.
you to get rid of that. And I love where this conversation is going already. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got to get it in the meat of what it is. Yes, there's something as a proud belonger, because
I've never seen someone post it. I am a proud belonger.
I'm a proud belonger to the British Virgin Islands. Because I promise you, there was the, and I want you to speak about that. And Siobhan, I want you to roll in, because we have a lot of things to talk about in a short bit of time.
Okay.
We had a lot of controversy about the 1,500 or whatever the number was of newly belongers. A lot of people deserve, because they have been here for years.
Yes.
And no matter where you started the fence, it is what it is. But what upset me to tears is when I saw a lot of posts, because we live in a social media age.
Right.
I finally got my belonger card, but Vinci to the bone, or always a jam down till I die. And so I kind of attribute that with the Latina line, hashtag Latina forever, hashtag Latina women. But all you know is the BVI. So the semantics of having your passport say you're born XYZ is just semantics. But from somebody who's been here for 4 years, who've lived here, now living a beautiful life, you look amazing because you have grown up here. So I assume that you have to think that the BVI had some part of your whole upbringing. I don't understand, and maybe other people share it, maybe they don't, why the Latina community specifically, and especially them fancy good body girl, do not embrace the BVI as their true home. Speak for them for me, if you can.
BVI Islanders do not accept us, and that is the truth. Maybe you do, but 80–90% of them, they don't consider us to be from here. We are Spanish in their eyes, so I embrace my Spanish heritage, and yes, I am a proud Latina, but let me say this, I am extremely proud to be a belonger of the British Virgin Islands. I came here, like I mentioned earlier, I came here at the age of 4.
Yeah.
You know, I came from very humble beginnings. I watched my mom and dad struggle to be able to provide my siblings and I with bare necessities. So I always knew that I wanted to be more. You know, my woes made me work harder to be able to give my children what I didn't have growing up. And all of that is because of the BVI. We came here in the late 80s, I think, early 80s, I think it was. So I believe migrating to the BVI has a lot to do with the woman that I am today. Nice. But I cannot just drop being Spanish or celebrating Santo Domingo independence on the 27th of February, which is coming up, by the way.
Yes.
I cannot just drop it because I grew up here in the BVI.
I understand that.
As a belonger, you can't be deported.
I get that.
You understand? So if something happens, guess where I have to go? Back to Santo Domingo. So
I get it-ish, and I want Siobhan to jump in on that. Because if you look at the broader picture, and you kind of have me a little emotional when you say BVI landlords don't embrace Spanish people in the BVI. It hurts me because I know that you're speaking from your heart, and you've said it to me many a times. But now, Siobhan, you have said, I wasn't born here either. So
Right.
to me, the two are on the same level.
Literally.
Literally, the both of y'all are on the same level, if that makes any sense. How do you feel in terms of your perception? Because I think Trump has said he's going to put, I'm going to paraphrase for some Trump supporters, don't come for me. You will be amazed the kind of emails and inboxes that I have to, oh
Wow.
yes. He is putting a ban on pregnant women
Right.
Oh,
who
yes,
want to
yes,
migrate to
With
the US
visas and
specifically
stuff.
just to
To get
have their
babies.
children. So 30 odd years ago, you might have been affected
Correct.
by that.
Correct.
So your parents had you in the US to give you a bigger and better opportunity.
Right.
But as you sit here on the same chairs, looking equally as beautiful, with equally successful stories, you have a different mindset on how it is to grow up in the BVI. What is your sense of, I hate to say having a privileged upbringing, but I have to speak on what the massive would say, and it's
Right.
no insult to you or your parents. My both children were born in the US too. So what does that say about the half of the population, or the 1%, a lie, the 1% that could afford to have their children over in the US and give them the wonderful lifestyle of, in case you want to go to the US,
Yes,
you're
you have
great.
this option.
But then I have this entity here that I'm making sure you're great too. And let me just put a side note. My children were born in the US because I was living in the US. Let me just cut that.
Mine as well.
So I want to hear that part of that. I hate to use the word comparison, but it's just a stark understanding of it's always going to be a conversation piece. So how does that affect you, or does it affect you? And would you want to do anything different?
Well, in terms of we would say the stereotype in terms of the Latin community not embracing, as they would say, the BVI heritage, or we wouldn't do a hashtag. I myself don't do the hashtag saying that I'm a proud BVI lander.
You don't?
Or no, I don't.
F for you too, just so you know the both of them get
Yes.
F. I'm just saying no
but
discrimination here.
In all honesty, I think we have just a handful of BVI landers or
Right.
belongers who actually express that they are happy for where they're from. I have no problem with
Why
where.
is that? Why is that?
And that is a good question. I don't know. Sometimes you will, not to stray from the point, but sometimes, you know, you'd hear people like, oh, I can't wait to go back where I come from. And I'd be like, well, you just don't go back. Like literally, you need to just go back, because yes, the BVI is a stepping stool, as they call it. Or I should say, we paved the way for a lot of lives, right? So that people will come here to live a better life. Not to say that they're denouncing where they're from, but hey, this is an opportunity, and they come here and they make here home, right? Yes, I have to celebrate with her because it's DR's independence, February 27, but at the same time, we have Territory Day. We should make Territory Day a big deal. That's how I see it. Like, my children, they have to go to school dressed in their territory clothes when that day comes. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. But now, on the other side, we have people who come from where they come from, but they don't want their children dressed in all clothes, and when it's Territory Day, they find it as offensive. They want to put their children in their cultural clothes,
Right.
which is kind of, this is disrespectful.
Yeah.
But as a belonger, I am very proud. I am very proud for what my parents did in terms of they made a decision to have me off island, and I just think it was more of the fact that having a US passport, you get a little bit more opportunities. Now,
Understood.
in this day and age, you probably can get your kids anywhere in the world
Yeah.
and have equal opportunities. But I myself got my children in the US and I did not live there.
That brings me to this question. Everybody said a lot of things that made a lot of sense, and I got to make sure I be careful with the time. We're going to go right back to Territory Day. My kids are big now. One is in college, one is almost there.
Yeah.
And so that has been a pet peeve, especially since we have a national dress, or for lack of a better word, material.
Right.
But we have folks that dress their children in their territory wear for our Territory Day.
Right.
You just also said that you don't ever say you are proud Beaver Islander and you're not really sure why.
Yeah, I'm not.
So it's a cultural or lack of cultural
we don't big up ourselves enough.
right. That is the problem. So when we got good Buddy Maria, who beautiful, have a ton of degrees, now making great money, and still latches on to the Latina culture. And then we have beautiful, don't have her own business sales with the S, Siobhan, who has that BVI background, but still don't broadcast that proud BVI Islander hashtag, for lack of a better word. It says that there's a problem. When we have children who are 5 and 6 who come to school in the Latina wear, the Cuban wear, the Haitian wear, the African wear, on all Territory Day,
Right.
I think it sends a bigger picture
Yes.
of what is wrong with our country in terms of BVI pride.
You think that's bad? What's even worse is that we know that the parents are BVI born, not in case of Maria, but BVI born, and they're still sending their children in, say for instance, where their father from, cultural way.
So what does that say? What does that say about our community as a whole? Maria, let me hear from you, because we need to do whatever the Santo Domingos doing over there to get the Santo Domingos here still.
Exactly.
Something is wrong with what we are not doing or doing. What is it?
Well, the Latin community, we are proud, extremely, extremely proud of our heritage and where we came from. I don't know if you've ever seen for Dominican Republic's independence when they shut down Langbush. Like literally, they closed down the entire street and it's a party from, let's say, 10 a.m. until the wee hours of the morning. They're just proud. Yes, they're here, they're living here, and they're making a living here, but then the 27th rolls around and they do what they would have done if they were in the Dominican Republic, and they do it here. I do not agree with parents that insist on sending their children on Territory Day with the territorial wear for their country rather than the BVI, because it's not Territory Day for where your parents is from or where it's BVI's Territory Day, and I think that it needs to be respected. And that's my view on it. But the Latin community is just extremely, extremely proud. And
we need to get someone about, how do you feel when Siobhan says, you know, a lot of persons from overseas come to the BVI and we have paved the way for them to be where we are today? Is that an offensive term to you?
it is not, because just like persons migrated from the Dominican Republic to the BVI for a better life, there was a time and point where BVI Islanders used to go down to the Dominican Republic for work. They used to go down there to cut cane. So it's just change of
Children of the guys.
Yeah, I'm not offended. It does not offend me. It is what it is. It happens. It has been happening. And I am grateful that I did not grow up in the DR. Instead, I grew up here. I think my fate would have been different had I grown up down there. So I'm not offended by her statement, because it's something that does happen, and it paved the way for a lot of us, me including.
So Siobhan, do you believe that as a BVI Islander, I don't know how else to say it, that we are overprivileged, or we are too privileged to identify with some of the islanders who come here for a better life, that we are not empathetic enough? Because it says something about the brood of us if the language and the disparity between and you said there's not a lot of BVI Islanders existing, that's what you said. The little BVI Islanders that they have and the huge expatriate community, no matter what government is in, no matter what to do, the disparity is so huge, where it's like us against them. Does that say something about our lack of empathy? Do you think that we behave, that we are better than others? What do you think attributes to such a negative connotation here in the BVI when it comes to accepting other expatriates, specifically from the Caribbean?
I don't want to get stoned, but I would say that some of us, and I'm going to say us, because clearly I'm one of them, in terms of a Bilaga, some of us don't want to see anybody come in and on the same level or getting close to the level that they are at. So then it creates a barrier. So it becomes them versus us. And in all honesty, it's one Caribbean. It shouldn't be that way. It should be where if somebody comes from another country and they are able to make it, we should applaud them. What we should look about doing is figuring out how we can get to that stage, in all honesty. But it doesn't always work the way it's supposed to work, like how we would say it out loud. That's just probably just the way it is. I'm sure this happens all over the world, but BVI is very small, so it's easy to pinpoint.
So you guys are young. You have enough presence in the community to change the language. What can be done from your point of view as somebody who feels the both sides of the barriers, who identifies, not enough in my point of view, as a belonger and still the expatriate culture? What can be done to break it where your sons and your children and my children see us as brothers and sisters and not a competition or not you come here to get something better and that type of thing? What can be done? What suggestions, if the Premier is watching today, what suggestion would you give the Honorable Premier? Each of you, one suggestion if you can.
I don't have any suggestion. I think it boils down to the individual. When the fast track program started, I mean, there was so much negativity behind it, and the meetings that I saw airing live, I was like, oh my God, people really think that way. You know, they spoke about, when they go down to, let's say, Dominica, if you see the big houses they have, they come ahead working and taking the money back home. I don't have any, I don't know. I think it boils down to the way people think, you know, small-minded.
Should somebody who live in a BVI, I'm going to use your example, use you for example. You have lived here the majority of your life. Is it fair for me to be offended if you, because you're living a good life, you have a beautiful job, you're doing great, Madam President. The story is a storybook. You are the storybook. Should I be offended as me, the proud BVI learner? I'm going to use that today. When I go to Santo Domingo and my tour guide said, oh, you know Maria Hopkins, Maria Smith? Maria Smith, yes, she just corrected me, Maria Smith. This is her house, and it's a 5-story house. It's a beautiful house. But you're living here, you're getting your salary from here, but you choose to live in an apartment. Should I be offended?
You cannot be offended,
Tell me why not. Okay.
I am living, yes.
Remember, I'm talking just for the general purpose. But,
I know. Yes, I am living here. Yes, I am getting my salary from here. But I work for international, one of the biggest accounting firms in the world that came here and set up shop. So everyone in my office is an expatriate. You know, they're not from here. It's just myself and one other that are belongers and BVI landers. So technically, yes, they're doing business in the BVI, but what if EY decides to pack up and leave?
So you believe that you should have a cushion in case somebody throw you out?
No, not to say, but I work hard. You know how much money I pay in taxes each month? So why can't
probably more than because she does tell us she's making all this money, so we go.
No, that was in the beginning. I did not tell you what I was making. I said it was started
so we
at
get
that.
So I want to understand.
My thing is,
yes.
Let me use my dad for example. My dad came here when he was 18 years. He always tells us the story. He came here with 2 pair of pants and 2 shirts and 1 pair of shoes. And his first job was moving stones for Mac Simmons. I believe he said Peter Island. My dad worked from 18 years. After the job with Mac Simmons, he worked at Cable and Wireless, where he eventually was retired early. From Cable and Wireless, he went and worked on the port as a security officer, and he still does that, and he's retiring this coming April. My dad has washed dishes at Pig Leg to provide for his family. My dad owns a company, Tower Works BVI, where he maintains towers. I don't know if he still does it for Flow, but he used to do it for Digicel. I know he has contract for CCT. Sorry, CCT and Flow. He has contract for CCT and Flow. So you're telling me that a young boy that came here at 18 from extremely humble beginnings, worked extremely hard to take care of his family, 4 children, wife, and reached the point in his life where he retired twice and still has a business going. You're telling me that it's okay for him to come here and do all of that, but it has nothing to show when if he decides to go back to the Dominican Republic after his retirement. You don't want him to have anything. I mean, we have house here, but
the big mansion have to be there.
It doesn't have to be there, but you have to have something where you're from.
That's a conversation.
And nothing is wrong with that.
I remember now, my job is to speak for the masses. And I know these conversations will be uncomfortable for some people to listen to. But I so appreciate your candidness, both of you, because this is exactly what people say behind doors.
Yeah.
So what you said to the average person may make some sense. But somebody else may say, well, if he behave properly here and he doesn't have to get deported, why this should be his home? You will have. I'm not saying that that's my feeling. Remember, because you said that you could be deported.
We are humans. You don't know where life is going to take you.
So you could just murder somebody by mistake and then you get deported.
Correct. You don't know where life is going to take you. So.
I don't know how to interpret that because I feel the passion and I can't identify 100% with you. Because I'm not living your story, but I think I'm intelligent enough to understand why you would feel that way. I certainly do. But on the other hand, I do understand how people who are indigenous BVI landers will feel offended when persons make a great living here and do not see it necessary, not you, don't see it necessary to invest not one thing here. They invest everything back in their original hometown, fight very hard to become a belonger here, got the belonger, but still don't identify as a BVI lander or a told, or a BVI lander, whatever you want to call it, watching God, I'm going to get upset with me when I say told you, but you know what I'm trying to say. So it's a very, very, very difficult conversation to have. And on both sides of the coins, I think people do have very, very strong arguments. I think if I had somebody else who sat in a seat and could say, well, no, you work here, you get paid here, you should invest here, you already belong. So, I mean, why are we going back over there now? Or why can't you invest something here and invest something back home? But to say that I ain't invested a penny here.
Oh, no, I don't agree with that.
I
don't agree with that. We have property here. My dad has business. My sister have a business. My brother have a business. But we also have property back home.
Back at home. I mean,
sorry, back in the day.
I was going to say, audience, listen to the verbiage. She said she keeps saying home. And that
my apologies.
No, it's okay. You don't have to apologize.
In the DR, since you don't want me to call it home.
No. It's not what I want. It's literally what we're trying to have a conversation on. Right. So it's really not about me. It's about what the perception is and how your comfort level is really.
But that's what it is. You know what it is also, Karia? Persons, I believe, find it necessary to build back home and invest back home because it's not just us here, they have families back there as well.
And want to take care of the family as well.
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to get to something even more ticklish. And I want to tell the audience now, anybody who comes on the show knows that you're going to have to be a little bit outside your comfort zone because we're giving you real conversation because it's called Real Talk. Yeah, the drinking I wanted to get it thrown together. So I hear both of your sides, and I think that you guys are doing an exceptional job in articulating your point of view. I feel the passion, and that's why you're here. There is a stigma, or is it a stigma? I want you to answer first, and I want you to comment on exactly what she says. Okay. Taking away Maria Smith and taking away Siobhan Frank, two different people from two different points of view. It is a very strong statement where a lot of BVI landers feel that Spanish women are home records. I literally sat in church
Jeez.
and heard a pastor say the very same thing. Protect your marriages from a Spanish woman then. They don't say protect your marriages from the Haitians. They don't say protect your marriages from the Dominicans. Oh, well, I don't use them, I meant Dominica. Or the Cubans or the Montserratians. They said protect your marriage from the Spanish woman them. What? It's a very broad statement. Perhaps it's not a fair statement, but if you look at statistics, you will see that there could be some room for persons to be very concerned. Is that something that we should have a fair discussion on, from your point of view?
This is real talk?
This is real talk.
Okay, so I'll keep it real.
Keep it real.
Karia, Spanish women are not the only women that have slept with a married man or have had relations with someone that's in a committed relationship. You have Jamaicans, you have Trinidadians, you have Dominicans from Dominica, you have Guyanese, you have Kititians, and you even have local women
messing up people's marriage too.
That have, I'm not saying that they're messing up marriages, but they have slept or have been involved with married men or with men that are in committed relationships. And I really think that the stereotyping against Spanish women needs to end, because all other nationalities have done it and they do it. But the reason why I think people more call, or you hear more about Spanish, is because Spanish women, we are fiery, we are fierce, and we are incredible sexual creatures.
Wow, wow.
And we demand, and speaking,
I have set up for this. Let me hold my belly because go ahead.
No,
I love it.
Speaking honestly, we demand attention. One thing I realize is that only insecurity breeds hate.
So Maria Smith, I'm sitting up because I feel some kind of way with that statement. And Siobhan, get your thoughts together very quickly. I love it. I'm not offensive. I love what you said because sometimes it hits home. Her last statement, I'm going to paraphrase. You said you're confident, you demand attention. Basically, time is almost up. Basically, you own your sexuality. So it says, and it's true. It is true, and I'm vexed because it's true. But, so it says now, Siobhan, sorry, Frank, that there's something that we as local women are missing. I remember you came to function under the Cham Academy brand. You said you had a beautiful time, but asterisk, you were offended. I appreciate you saying that, because one of the guest speakers spoke specifically to Spanish women breaking up.
Comment.
Breaking up.
She said, Spanish women and what they come here to do.
Yeah.
And something else, and I was like, what?
So Maria went ahead and texted me right away, probably inside of the show, and she was upset, and I apologized to her. I didn't say it. But when you have that definition of what a Latina woman is, and let's just be fair, all of us here have been in a relationship. You were married and divorced. You brand new married. Congratulations. Part of a healthy marriage is a healthy sexual relationship. Right. So you got to have that fire. You got to have that sparks. You got to have that comfort level. So Siobhan, is it fair to say that we are lacking that? And yes, we should be intimidated by Latina women because we want to have sex in the dark. We're scared to put on something sexy. Latina women, no matter what size they are, from size 6 to 16 or to 60, they ooze that sexuality. Is it fair to say that we are our own worst enemies?
Unfortunately, we have a hand to play in it.
Okay.
We as women, and I'm going to be frank, literally.
That was good.
We have a habit, once you think you have the man, you drop the ball. We want to come in bed in the longest nightie. We want to come in bed with the head wrap. We don't want to do our hair. We think this natural thing is for everybody. No play on you. But we think this natural thing is for natural hair. They think, and some of the natural hair is struggling. They need to realize that you need a straight. You know what I mean? You need a relaxer. It's all about the upkeep. Are you upkeeping yourself? What are you doing to make sure that your husband or your significant other is still interested? What are you doing? If you're not doing anything, then there is sad to doing those, Frank. Do not do anyway. But yeah, their eyes will start to dwindle. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's perfect or it's the perfect example to have. That's a reason to have an unfaithful relationship or start to commit adultery. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we as women have our hands to play. You keeping the fire. Where are the date nights? Where are the things that you're supposed to do to keep the fire blazing? I'm a newlywed, so I'm just speaking in terms of what I think should happen, right? Because I don't really have
all the answers.
Right.
We're busted. I have literally less than 5 minutes. Give me your thoughts.
I honestly, look at me. I'm Latina, Spanish, fierce, sexy, whatever you want to call me, and I'm divorced because of infidelity. So it doesn't always go back to the woman. I think the question needs to be directed to the men.
Correct.
They are the one who
I was going to ask you that because you should be my co-host. Because I was going to ask you put all the onus on the women just there.
Yeah, right. They are the one who should be responsible for their relationship. Correct. So,
but you just said something, Maria. Girl, I cannot with you. She says, "Look at me. I Latina, fierce, sexy, whatever." And I'm divorced, so you're owning your sexuality. Yeah. And so I suppose that we will have to, but I mean, I don't look like Maria, but you can't tell me a thing when I have on my clothes.
Facts.
And I think that is the attitude, is your aptitude. Yeah. And so sometimes we are our own worst enemies.
Right.
Unfortunately, believe it or not, I have to wrap up. You've done already.
Wow.
I want to be able to have the two of you back again. This conversation was not really long enough.
Yes.
Siobhan, Hodge, Frank, please talk to me about something, a positive word of affirmation that you want to tell other women out there, your age, who's struggling, who don't think that there's an end to where the journey should be even begin.
Right.
Give them some positive vibes.
Okay. What I would say to young women who may be struggling or may think that, their time, things are not looking up in their favor. My thing is there's a God.
Good.
Right? You have to trust and believe in God to make it through day to day. Don't think that this is a battle, a self-battle. Sometimes we are fighting different battles, whether it's spiritual, physical battles. It's all about putting your trust into God and asking God to guide you through these different tough paths. And in terms of relationship-wise, you may be in relationships, you're not sure whether this is a relationship that you want. Rely on your instincts. Your instincts really don't lead you astray. In terms of jobs, if you want to go into the entrepreneurial adventure, take a jump, take a leap. Try it. You would never know unless you try. So I would say to persevere, keep going, keep a positive attitude, a perfect smile, and God will do the rest.
Oh, I love that. I love that you kind of sum it all up and you ended with my favorite thing, God will do the rest. I'm very proud of you and your journey and your ability to articulate everything so wonderfully. People look at Siobhan and feel like they have everything, but juggling a brand new marriage and children and a family business, it's a lot. So for you to be on this seat and do your title justice, I know your parents will be proud and your brand new husband will be proud. So I thank you so much for kind of coming up here and jumping in the bandwagon, not knowing what I will ask you, and doing an exceptional job.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Miss Maria. It's Maria Victoria
Glasgow
Smith. Yes. Fair, sexy, beautiful, and all of that. What do you have to say to the community, your Latina community, your BVI community, and the world? Because we're now on YouTube and every place else. So talk to me.
I believe that once you are pursuing your truth, it is always enough. You have to care less of what the naysayers may be saying. I believe that once you reach a transitional point in your life, you can only grow as far as your environment allows you.
Right.
So you have to be able to take the good with the bad, the sad with the happy, and just do you.
Awesome, awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, within the sound of my voice, I am Karia Christopher here with Real Talk and Karia Christopher. These two ladies are, I'm gonna say, young belongers to the BVI. They make us proud. The conversation is one that's a difficult conversation from all angles, whether you're pro or you're opposed to whatever they say. It's a conversation that needs to be had. From my point of view, my job is to have the conversation, to open up your borders, open up your minds, and stimulate your bodies to be able to embrace other people's point of view. I think that these two ladies did justice. It obviously is a conversation that will be extended in a lot of different households after we have this show. I'm very proud to have known the both of y'all. From my home to yours, BVI, thank you for gracing us with your presence in your living room, in your bedroom, wherever you are within the sound of my voice. May God bless you all. I'm doing what I love, and have a wonderful week. Bye. Real Talk is proudly powered by Flow, sponsored by James Townman Construction and Nagico Insurances.